Welcome, disciples of the internet, to the anticipated Quinary installment of my series where I intend to replicate every single level of the NES classic Super Mario Bros. 3 and Mario Maker 2. This video will cover the 5th Sky-themed world of Mario 3, which has a total of 13 levels, which topples World 3's record of 12 levels. If you wish to see the creation of the previous 4 worlds, click on the reference card located at the top of your screen. Just one more not shameless plug before the building begins, however. Make sure to subscribe in order to make sure that your credit card debt is 100% cleared. No joke, I promise. Why would I lie to you? I'm not some distrustworthy cult leader. I'm an honest cult leader. 5-1. So before we can get to the illustrious Sky, there are 5 interlude ground levels. 5-1 itself is remarkable for the trait of introducing 2 new enemies, the Buster Beetle and the Nipper Plants. Buster Beetles are quite interesting as they make use of the ice blocks I've been neglecting this whole run, because not only can Mario throw them, but the Buster Beetles can too. However, there are not any ice blocks in this level anyway, so they're just reduced to a slightly less interesting Buzzy Beetle. Nipper Plants are white little carnivorous plants. They remain in one spot and jump up whenever Mario jumps past them. Since they have a similar appearance to Munchers, they simply put springs under some Munchers. However, this doesn't really stop Mario from taking the spring from under them and slowing their roll. Under this giant arch of hard blocks is some water and 2 3s made from invisible coins. Now they are just out-of-place 3s made from bricks. For the sub-area of this level, there's a strange circumstance where if you don't have a mushroom, you can end the level from collecting a music box, just like the Cloud from earlier in the series. I replaced the music box with a 1-up and sent the player directly to the end of the level. 5-2, this level is massive. The whole gimmick is that the player could either play the entire level above ground or underground. It would be simple if this was it, because this could just be accomplished with 2 horizontal sub-areas. But between these areas is a very long fall with a few coins, which forces me to make one of these sub-areas vertical. And since I had to force most of this level's content to be in one sub-area, I had only about 1 block of breathing room before I could reach the goal. And for the underground area itself, one of the main threats is a cavalcade of Buster Beetles with a collection of ice blocks this time. Now they are just simple Buzzy Beetles trapped between some basic brown bricks.
Michael! Don't leave me here!
5-3. This level is important for letting the player run to the left this time. It also introduces the Goomba Shoe, or the Karibo's Shoe. About halfway into the level, you are actually forced to run to the right, and since the ground is so low, I had to move up the Munchers 1 block so they don't just fall into the void. The final Goomba Shoe is also trapped inside this box made of bricks, and in the original game there are some ice blocks so you have the opportunity to free him, but now he will just be stuck forever in this crypt for eternity.
Michael!
5-Fortress 1. Instead of actually having walls, this fortress is more of a 1-block frame, which looks quite strange since Mario Maker 2 doesn't have a black background. Personally, the biggest problem of this fortress was this level's insistence on using those strange disco balls. So sometimes the path of these balls would annoyingly intercept each other. Oh yeah, and halfway through the level, there's a Boo Diddley. 5-Tower. So in order to get to the Sky Kingdom, Mario has to pass through this windy tower, and yeah, this level always felt kind of wacky. You don't even end the level with an orb or a wand or a card box. Mario just enters a pipe and then it's done. My first thought for this level was just to have one sub-area be a fortress and one be the sky, but that would require too many interlude section shenanigans. So I just made both sub-areas the sky and used tower-themed semi-solids for all of the sub-areas that were indoors. The second area of this tower features the long-awaited return of the Pile Driver Mini Goombas, and as I've been told twice in the comment section of that video, placing them with Shoe Goombas is a better idea since they obviously follow the jumping arc pattern. After climbing up the blue vine, we are now in the sky section, and I gotta say, the levels are quite simple and barren. Most of them rarely have a sub-area or any hidden secrets, but some of them have these annoying features that cause them to be way harder to build than they should be. 5-4. The whole gimmick of this level is the strange seesaw platforms that spin almost uncontrollably on random intervals. Since if I were to replace all of the seesaws with basic ones, this level would have basically no challenge and be quite boring. And to replicate the spinning randomness of the platforms, I replaced every other seesaw with the wacky green and white bouncers.
own!
5-5. This level takes place over a long bridge of donut blocks and features yet another Tanuki suit that must be replaced with a basic super leaf. And this level would be quite tame if it weren't for the inclusion of the Fire Chomp. This guy spits out some fireballs and explodes, but in my opinion, I made the better version. The Winged Chain Chomp. I left him with his stump so he wouldn't just hang there, and I gave him some wings so it actually looked like, you know, he was flying. 5-6 is one of the 3 auto-scroll levels in this world if you are including the airship, and you need to ride these red beetles. Thankfully, if you give wings to a Buzzy Beetle, they act exactly like these strange red beetles, and they serve the exact same gameplay purpose. Near the end of the level is another Fire Chomp, and I'm glad because it gives me another excuse to use the Winged Chain Chomp. 5-7 heavily relies on pile driver mini Goombas, and since they are now replaced with shoe Goombas, it creates a kind of chaos that allows the player to easily advance through the level with basically no damage taken in the slightest. But that's not all, as this level also features a sub-area that leads the player to a basic underground section. And I mean basic, as the only enemy in this section is a singular red Koopa, and there are 4 superstars. Who would ever need that many? And in the top area, there are also 6 superstars. Like, this level is not hard enough to warrant that many. 5-Fortress 2 likes to follow in the footsteps of Super Mario Galaxy by having a pool of lava at the ceiling of the level. And in this floating pool of lava, there are multiple lava bubbles that spring out and return back to the ceiling. For the lava, I used dotted line blocks for their red exterior and used chains to give the lava bubbles the appearance of defying gravity. The main platform of this level is bridges, which somehow do not catch on fire from all of the lava surrounding them. Mario Maker 2, these bridges have to be at least 3 blocks wide, so some jumps are now made much easier than they rightfully should be. Oh yeah, and near the end of the level is a Boo Diddley. 5-8 is the most boring level I've seen in this game so far. It's just a basic collection of cloud platforms with a few red Koopas and a Lakitu. That's it. The most interesting aspect of this level is how non-interesting it is. It was so boring that I had to spice up the interlude section to add some level of flavor to this otherwise snorefest of a level. 5-9, this level is also the second instance of an auto-scroller in this world, and this time the level is structured diagonally, and sadly there's no option to create a diagonal subworld in the Mario Maker 2 editor. So constantly I would have to add pipes so the player can access the next part of the level. And for the level itself, it just consists of platforms that move from side to side or up and down, and there are only 3 enemies, the first being a red Koopa and the next 2 being some Fire Chomps. Or Winged Chain Chomps if you truly realize which enemy is superior. 5-Airship brings us back to the basic brown of the original airship of World 1, and for obstacles there's a heavy reliance on those strange wall cannons. And these are the only obstacles where I would have to change how they look every time, just so the cannons are oriented the correct way. This airship also marks the return of the 4-headed cannons, which piles onto the projectile chaos of this airship as a whole. The boss fight against Roy is slightly changed, as Roy acts quite similar to his Super Mario World counterpart.
And you gotta die!
But after that, both Mario and Luigi can follow the airship to end World 5. So that was all 13 levels of World 5 of Super Mario Bros. 3 represented in Mario Maker 2. At the end of this series, I'll rank all levels based on their faithfulness to the original, but for now, I'll just rank all of the levels in this world. Number 13, 5-2. Number 12, 5-Fortress 2. Number 11, 5-Tower. Number 10, 5-Airship. Number 9, 5-9. Number 8, 5-4. Number 7, 5-1. Number 6, 5-Fortress 1. Number 5, 5-3. Number 4, 5-6. Number 3, 5-5. Number 2, 5-7. And number 1, 5-8. So that's all the levels in World 5, ranked from least to most faithful in Mario Maker 2. Eventually I'll recreate future worlds in the final ranking of every level, but until then, stick around.